I've been working on my new desk, and in this video I just want to cover making the armrest pad that goes on there. It'll support my arm, and I need a backer for it. It's going to be foam on top of this and then material to cover it up. But the backer doesn't have to be anything fancy. I've got the piece of plywood from my old light before I changed that over, and all I did was rip it down the size, or width I should say, and then cut it to length on the miter saw. And now what I have on here is some strips of glue on the back, and there's some dabs of epoxy on the other side. And I'm just going to scrape that off and make use of a new scraper for that and try that out and see how well it works. Definitely harder to get rid of that epoxy, that's for sure. I've also got some spray glue on the back here from when I sprayed those black non-stick things for the coaster or caster coasters. So I got to get rid of that as well. Okay, I don't need to go crazy cleaning this up. I guess it's not ever going to be seen anyway, because it's only there to wrap the material around and fasten that to the bottom, since you really can't do that directly to the foam. Or I guess you probably can, but it's probably not going to work out as well. Anyway, so done scraping. Scraper works great. Good way to clean it out with the broom here like that. Also that glue, that self-sticking glue was pretty sticky, so I came off, and I'm looking at the edge here. It still looks pretty sharp. That's the thing about these blades, they're tough as nails. So I wouldn't say I could shave with it, but pretty close. Man, it is cold out today. This is 12th of March, and winter's not over here. Got my glue gun plugged in. Couple of extra glue sticks. I'm running out of those. I gotta buy more, reminds me. And so here's the bottom. That's good. This is the piece of foam, which is pretty sorry looking, but it's the only one that I've got. I've got three options here for firmness, but I found that this one's just right. This is from an old couch that I had, actually. I had a reclining leather couch back in the day, and then I took it all apart and I salvaged some of the leather from it, which is right here. And I also salvaged some of the foam, and this is all I have now. And I'm going to use that for the padding, but it's not quite wide enough and it's a little bit torn up. So I'm going to add some sponge to it. So that's the other firmness that you could use here. And that's a little bit harder, but still pretty acceptable. And I think when I just put a sliver of it in there to make this wide enough, it'll be okay. The other thing I could use is this stuff that I guess they call Kaizen foam, and that's even firmer again. I can put 2 layers of that to make up the, I think that's 1 inch thick. I need 2 inches of foam anyway, whatever that takes to do that. I don't want to use this though, because I think it's going to be too uncomfortable, too hard for my arm. Speaking of leather, I was originally going to use that because I've got a piece here big enough to do the surface right here in the middle strip beyond these seams, but I got to thinking about it, and leather is great for staying clean and looking neat and being cool and all that, but it's awful grippy on your forearm, especially a bare forearm. You know, if you're operating a mouse, especially in the middle of the summer when it gets warm. So I need something that's going to move around a bit more. And you know what? If it gets dirty, it gets dirty. What are you going to do? Clean it, of course. So I've got an old pants leg from a pair of jeans that I'm going to use as the material instead. First thing I need to do is put a new blade in my utility knife. I'm going to use that to trim the foam down to size to take the ragged edge off. Not that that's a huge problem, because the material will stretch in around it anyway, but it'll make it more accurate for me to cut the pieces I need to fill in and beside it. All right, that's definitely harder to cut than I thought it was. This needs to be 7 inches wide. Right now it's 6 inches wide. I think I have enough sponge here to use. Now I know that the sponge is easier to cut, and that would probably be one of the biggest benefits of using it, just how easy it is to cut. And I'd be willing to bet that you could probably get these a lot cheaper than you can get, you know, a piece of this material right here from a fabric store, because for some reason they value this stuff like gold in those places. I've got all my parts cut and fitted in there nicely. I trimmed the ends off so that they'll fit together nicely. Not that that's a big deal. I also cut a little piece over here to fill up that part that was missing. And I'm gonna join these to the main body of the foam with hot melt glue. Just a little dab on there to keep it from moving around. So that's looking very good. Being generous here. And I clipped the corners off of this because the back of the armrest thing that's already in place is rounded. So this should match roughly. So I'm gonna just do the same with this. I'm gonna put some hot melt glue on there and glue it in place. I could use spray adhesive for this, but you know what? The hot melt glue works just fine for that. Considering how tight this needs to be stretched, maybe I'll pull it and flip it over and have a look. And that looks pretty good. You don't want it loose enough that it's gonna crumple up. And see, like I said, it has to be nice and tight and smooth. So I think what I'll do is I'll start here in the middle and I'll just tack it there with the hot melt glue and then work my way around. I am not a professional upholsterer, by the way, in case that wasn't clear. I don't think that they use hot melt glue guns for this kind of work. Maybe they do, I don't know. If you're an upholsterer and you do that, you know, say in the comments. Let me feel better about my work. I think that's tight enough there. If I stretch this seam up on top of here, so I get a little bit more glue on there. I'm not going to show the whole process of doing this here, mainly because it's pretty tedious to watch, I think, probably. Well, some of you probably like it. Okay, I did a lot of trimming to get the material down in size here, and I attached the ends in the middle here, and now I just got to finish it up. On this end is the end with the corners clipped off. I think it's going to fold that in like that over there, and then I guess I'm going to have to do it both ways, fold it in both ways like that, and then do it over like that, so that's what you wind up with on the outside. You know, and it doesn't look beautiful, but it works. I wasn't looking for perfection with this, of course, because I'm not looking for perfection from anything actually these days. Just something that works. I want it to work and I want it to look okay. You know, I'm not overly concerned with, you know, being these really fine details, with it being absolutely amazingly perfect, just as long as it works. And besides, you can see this kind of detail on lots of different upholstered stuff because they really can't do anything else about it, as far as I know. Unless they got really stretchy material, which this is definitely not. Denim is not stretchy. Unless you get the stretchy stuff, which I've started to wear actually. You know, my ever-expanding gut makes the stretchy denim more of a better choice for me. that's the rounded end, I guess you could say, done, and I'm fairly happy with the results. One thing I've got to watch is not to get any glue on the top here, which would kind of screw things up. Also, my denim pattern is not going perfectly straight. The grain is kind of skewed a little bit, so I know that would drive some people absolutely bananas, but it doesn't bother me. So over here on the square end, I'm just going to take this and do, you know, the Christmas wrapping fold, I guess you could say, like that, so that you get that little spot there like that. And that'll do it. I'll just do the other side exactly the same way, and then I can bring it in and put it on the desk.